When it first came here, it was like, you know, the center of the world for us, because, I mean, Georgetown being a small town, we didn't have a whole lot of things here, and right off the bat, they had a contest to name the rink. And my brother Mark actually, I think with the help of Lloydie, come up with the name Three Rivers Sportsplex, and his name was chosen for the name of the rink. And he got a $25 check. So you're talking about 1978 or 1979. It was a pretty big deal, which he used to buy a pair of Bauer Junior Supreme skates, which happened to be the very first black blade skates in all of Georgetown. So you can imagine how that would have made me feel, who was a younger brother growing up, so jealous of my older brother. And I had a pair of size 9 skates that Harvey Martell gave Lionel at the shipyard. And here was Mark running around with a pair of $30 skates from Handy Andy's over in Montague. And the night that Craig Jenkins broke the Island Junior Hockey League scoring record here with the year the Huskies played here. And I remember that vividly because Richard Frazier had a record, I think, and I want to say it was Elton John, like an LP record. And he had the number 66 painted on it, and he had it on the front of the old John Deere tractor that they used to pull the Zamboni around the rink. And when Craig Jenkins broke the scoring record, Richard broke the record and fired it up into the stands. You know, and of course, at that time there'd be 800 or 900 people in the rink like there always was. And I remember probably in grade 4 or 5 being here for the Georgetown School ice sports. And Mark Campbell was always the fastest skater, so my friend Carter Gotel and I were always battling for that number 2 spot. And all that really got you was that one day off school to go to Montague for the Unit 4 ice. So there was 3 laps around the rink, and Mark was way ahead, and Carter and I were going tooth and tongue. And we just got to the last turn about the 3/4 pole, and both of us wiped out. And Pat Murphy, who could barely skate, tiptoed his way up through and got the day off and went to Montague. When I walk in the rink still, I look up and I see Winnie Yorston and Betty standing right there, right up there. They didn't sit down, they leaned on that little thing right above where the door comes out. And Rocky and little Winnie would be having fries or fighting or taking wrist shots there. Just up above them you'd see Marina and Lawrence Bertel. Lawrence would have the one-piece skidoo suit on with this thick a piece of styrofoam to sit on so he wouldn't get the piles, I guess, you know. You know, and then I think of all the people that kind of made it all work, you know, and that's kind of why we're here celebrating. People who were important to me, like Francis Hebert, Brendan Galloway, Gary Scully. I could still see skating around those first 4 or 5 games of minor hockey, and Gary Scully at the door waving you in saying, "I need to get your father to come see me." I guess the first half of registration was due, you know.
Jimmy was a big part of my life. A man I respected, a man I loved. A man I traveled much of the world with, and probably every dirt road on the island on Sundays. During those drives, I would experience Jimmy's quick wit, his unfiltered views on everything from world events to how well Derek Johnson and my brother Joe were playing on defense for the Eagles that year. "Johnson needs to shoot the puck," he often said. And I'd wait, and then I'd say, "Well, what about Joe?" And he'd say, "Joe needs to stay away from the fridge." A man that raised more money in death for this rink than most will ever do living. His last wishes just didn't raise money for the rink, but brought national exposure to the little town he loved. Jimmy loved all of Georgetown, and Georgetown loved him. Whenever he was aware that someone needed help, he often responded by anonymously dropping off bags of groceries or filling their oil tanks, never asking for anything in return. One year around this time, it was in the late 1980s, I got a call from Jimmy, and I always enjoyed Jimmy's phone calls because of his distinctive Godfather-sounding voice and his direct messaging. There was no hellos or goodbyes or pleasantries. It was just right to the point. And this particular day, when I answered, all I got was, "Take me to Canadian Tire." Get out, he hands me his credit card and tells me to go in and buy 3 sets of hockey gear. The only direction he gave me was 2 7-year-olds and a 12-year-old boy. And he paused from then, he looked at me and he said, "About your size." I was 19 at the time. We lost Jimmy in body in 2011, but his contagious spirit of community is why we're here tonight. He would be so proud. On behalf of Jimmy and all the MacConnell family, thank you all so very much.
But he loved the game, and he was a fan of the game, and he was a student of the game of hockey. And he was a great supporter of the game. And those people, as you grow up and realize, you might not realize it when you're playing, but those people like Lionel and Jimmy and so many other people, you can't have a team without them. Like they're really the foundation of every team and organization, and they were so huge supporters of the game and the rink. And I say he lived and died with the Eagles. I think, like, I remember him most as a supporter and as a fan, and I just remember him as someone who loved the rink, and he supported the rink, and he supported and believed in anybody who believed in keeping the rink going. So he'd be so happy to be here tonight, or for this to be going on. Like I say, he lived at the rink. So tonight, for our family, this is a great tribute and a great honor, and we're very flattered and grateful that Lionel has been deemed worthy of such an honor, and we know he'd be very proud. On May 20th, 1996, he was watching a ball hockey game up in the 4th row, where he always sat just off the visitor's blue line. And he'd go there, that's where he'd sit, and when the Eagles were drawing their biggest crowds, he'd come here about 4 o'clock and spread his blanket out so no one could take his seat. The visiting fans would come up here and all, they would see his blankets and styrofoam and everything. There was no place for them to sit. But on May 20th, 1996, he was watching us play ball hockey out here. And on the way home, he suffered a stroke, and a few hours later, we lost him. So I just always thought, and I'm glad I can say it here, that, for someone who lived at the rink, it was kind of fitting that he died at the rink. So on behalf of my mother, Caddy, and all my brothers and sisters, all the grandchildren and all the great-grandchildren, thank you very much from the bottom of our hearts. In the memory of my father, we gratefully accept this tribute, and thank you very much.